Welcome back to the Rounding Third podcast. This is season 3, episode 2 of the critically acclaimed Rounding Third podcast series we have. I'm your host, Tyler Bratton, associate head coach for Mississippi State softball, along with Brian Ogden in his 8th year as sports information director of Mississippi State, his 6th in softball. So you've been here exactly how many years that Coach Ricketts has been a head coach then, is that right?
I have. It makes it really easy to keep up with how many wins and losses I've seen because it's just whatever her record is.
There you go. Love to see it. And our guest today, a star from this past weekend, Kiarra Sells, a native of Jasper, Texas. Welcome to the show, Key.
Hello. Hi, guys.
You know, I said welcome to the show. It kind of tuned into the MLB Network theme, right? And we had some of the games this weekend down in Clearwater were on the MLB Network. Would have been really cool to have our Thursday night showdown with Texas Tech as part of that, but came away victorious. We'll get into more of that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, and you mentioned Key is our guest this weekend. Was the hero twice this week.
Twice. Yep.
Had 2 big moments, and one of them was in that Texas Tech game that we'll dive into.
Key, we'll just cut right to the chase here, because one of the things that really kind of set us up for success this weekend, obviously the showdown with Texas Tech was well documented. Najee Kennedy, my goodness, one of the best players in the country, if not the best pitcher in the country. So a really good challenge for us right out of the gates. Oftentimes you kind of lead into those matchups. This year we went right to the top. Playing against Najee, All-American, reigning National Player of the Year, someone we faced really up close last year at Stanford in a really tight 2-1 ball game in a winner's bracket game on the road in Palo Alto last year. But Key, kind of what was it feeling like going into game 1, playing a really good Texas Tech team, and what was it like facing Najee Kennedy this weekend?
I think going into game 1, I was a little nervous. It's been a while since I've played, so I was a little nervous about all of that. But it didn't really matter who's in this pitching circle. It didn't really matter to me. I was just kind of like, doesn't matter. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play my game. I'm going to do whatever I have to do for the team and kind of back them up. So.
Yeah, and I thought your at-bats really early in the game, you got off a good swing in your first at-bat, lined out deep to left, made some good plays in right field really all weekend long, but had a huge play in right with the runner in scoring position to kind of hold the damage there or limit the damage. Really some really close plays both ways that could have opened us from scoring early on. We were able to get out of some jams. Same with Texas Tech, too. Sosa had a big pinch hit double that really kind of broke the bats getting going alive, probably about the midway point in that game. But kind of what was going through your mind? It was your first start here at Mississippi State. Kind of what led up to, you mentioned you hadn't had a whole lot of action before that. Kind of what was going through your mind? Hey, this is an opportunity for me to kind of show what I can do here.
Just kind of go out there and have fun. It wasn't really a lot. I don't normally like to think a whole lot into it. I kind of just wanted to go out there, have fun, and be out there with my teammates and kind of in any kind of way help them out as much as they helped me. So that was all that was going through my head the entire time, the entire game. So,
Coach Ricketts mentioned both post-game and some of the interviews she did, but even I know in like team film and things, just that this team there was no fear. And I think you've talked about that a little bit just now with you didn't care who was on the mound. How do you go into those at-bats? Like Coach Bratton said, hadn't had a ton of experience yet. You're kind of thrown into the fire right away and go into that with no fear.
I think a lot of that came into our preparation and kind of trusting the process. And we do a lot at practices and stuff, so I feel like we were well prepared to face anybody out there.
Did it help having seen her? I know you weren't in the box last year against her, but having seen her so recently, did that kind of help the team lock in on a game plan or maybe add some extra motivation that, it wasn't the big, bad, scary name on the wall anymore. You'd actually seen her in a game and knew what those pitches were going to look like.
I think coming off of last year, I think when we played against Stanford last year and we took that loss, I feel like that hit really hard for us. And then knowing that, hey, we're going to start off this year, facing her again was kind of like, okay, well, she had us last year, but we're not going to let her get us this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's something, we had this schedule a long time ago before she transferred into Texas Tech, but I think once the news kind of broke, we're like, hey, we're going to open up the year, likely to face her game 1, and I think there was some hunger in a lot of our players having a chance to have another opportunity against a really talented arm and a really talented team and really just making plays and getting timely hits. The 8th inning was huge, got into extra innings. Due to the fact of this tournament, there's so many games going on in this tournament, they go to international tiebreaker rules. We had to go with the last out, which was Kylie there at second base for us. But so you came up, you'd already had some good swings on her already. They weren't sure, were you going to bunt a runner over? What were we going to try to do offensively? We elected to let you swing the bat. But kind of what was going through that moment before you delivered a go-ahead single into right field?
The worst thing, all I was thinking was the worst thing that I could do right now is strike out. I was like, we've got a runner on two. I was like, the one thing that I can do, I was like, move the runner. That was all that was going through my head. I was like, move the runner, find any way to get her to home plate, get her to third. It really didn't matter. I was just kind of like, we're going to move her. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
And that mentality seems to have worked out pretty well for you so far this season. 7 chances to move runners. Done so 71% of the time for you, Key. So clearly the opportunity to just step in and move somebody and be a productive at bat has been paying off.
Key, when you're thinking about your game and you're thinking about the opportunities that's now come in year 3 in our program, what Key does playing in the summer? What kind of key or attribute do you say this summer did to try to help you to this moment right now?
It kind of brought me to just kind of enjoy the game, not stress so much, not stress myself out so much, to kind of just enjoy it, have fun, and kind of like I've been hungry, very hungry, so the summer really helped me with that. But yeah, kind of working on my mental game, just a lot of stuff like that, like to just enjoy the game, have fun.
Yeah, it's almost like really about 3 weeks ago, just in practice and some of our meetings, we do a lot of team meetings and we give you girls a lot of chances to have the podium and talk and say kind of what's on your mind and that kind of stuff. And about 3 weeks ago, you started speaking up a lot more than you did probably the first 2 years, honestly. And I think just that comfort that you've shown, that veteran approach that you've shown, I thought you played right field. We'll get into more of this here in a second with Kiarra Sells, but just thought you looked like you've been out there 65 games already in your career, and when you talk about people that you've spoken with in the summer and they're like, man, Kiarra Sells is like the best player in this summer league. And it's a great opportunity that softball is getting now. I think there's more and more states. Florida was one of the states a few years ago that started kind of a summer. Baseball's got the wood bat league and that's huge, particularly on getting some folks that maybe didn't have a whole lot of playing time year one. Gives them a chance to face college competition, get more acclimated to the college game, and you see that really take off in the Cape Cod leagues, the Alaska leagues, the Jayhawk leagues, all these types of things that have been so successful so long. It's great to see that kind of transition going into college softball now, and I think for you that was huge. One of the girls in the Duke team across the way played in there as well, Maya Burgess. She's one that played in that league too, and I think y'all too were some of the big names from that league this summer that really made the most of your opportunities. She had a good weekend as well, just like you, and I think that's awesome, and hopefully that'll be something that continues to get more, generate more excitement and get a little more funding and that kind of stuff to help make that kind of a household thing every summer. So really appreciate you doing that, and I think it really paid off as we got into the season this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll get back to more of your weekend as we get through, kind of our catching up section. We'll have to get into the Bethune-Cookman game as well and kind of your heroics there. But let's take a moment and pause and talk about just Raylan Chafin. Has kept us all very busy this week.
Yes.
So just running down the list, SEC Pitcher of the Week, Softball America Star of the Week, D1 Softball National Player of the Week, National Pitcher of the Week, NFCA National Pitcher of the Week, leads the nation in ERA, innings pitched, wins, and she's second in starts and completes games. Really just kind of stepped in and took over that kind of ace role that, not to say we've been missing in past years, but it's maybe sometimes been more of a two-headed monster, and she basically said, it's my ball, good luck taking it from me. Yeah,
and I think, she brings in a unique perspective, too. She won one SEC Pitcher of the Week honor, I think her freshman year at LSU. Had a big game against Alabama, got a victory there. So it was good to kind of see her get her flowers, so to speak, this weekend. And she's somebody that kind of had a little bit of a setback this fall. Didn't get a chance to really dive into some of the bullpen sessions until mid-October. And once she kind of got cleared and got rolling, you can speak to this from facing an inter squad games. I mean, she just has another level, and it's the ball really explodes out of her hand. She's got a plethora of pitches. She really does a good job of she's sort of keeping our hitters off balance, particularly once we got into January and really started having some pretty good weather and a lot of outdoor scrimmages and that kind of stuff. You're like, man, it's she's hard to catch up to, and I think you saw that. even to another level this weekend. We had 5 games, and 4 were against ranked opponents, depending on what poll you're looking at. I think we're pretty universal having the 2 ranked wins, but if you had Softball America and D1 softball polls in there, Penn State was a ranked team too. So really, she had monster wins against a good Nebraska team, a good Texas Tech team, a really good Penn State team, and then came in and kind of closed the door in a tough situation there, and a 1-run ball game where you got the game-winning hit there, that one too. So we'll get into that here in just a second. But just really excited to see her really take the ball. You couldn't get out of her hand, like you mentioned, Brian. She wanted the challenge. She wanted the chance to pitch. I don't know if we knew rolling into the weekend she would throw for 22 innings, but not a single earned run allowed. Really had efficient innings. We talk about 15 pitches or less. She got in there. She attacked the zone. She kept hitters off balance. Coach T called a remarkable game, and I think we're able to just kind of every time we'd score, we'd get that shutdown inning right behind it, and that was huge for our success this weekend. I thought Rayla was a big part of that.
Yeah, 22 innings without an earned run. That's the longest streak to start a player's career at Mississippi State. Since as far back as I can go back, I mentioned she kept me up pretty late at night researching. We'll get into the old physical archive box scores and try to take that a little bit further back this week as well. But also, only the second player to start her career with 4 straight wins in her first 4 appearances. Do you know the other one, Mr. Coach T-Brad?
I'm going to guess Alexis Silkwood or Allison Owen.
It's a little more recent than that.
Okay. Annie Willis.
Josie Marin.
All right. I would have eventually got there by process of elimination.
So, Key, you've had to face Raylan, like Coach Bratton mentioned in scrimmages. Sometimes those preseason scrimmages, you see the same pitcher over and over and over, and it kind of gets to be a little unpleasant for the pitchers towards the end because the hitters have maybe figured them out a little bit after having seen them every day for 3 weeks. Not so much with Raylan. Y'all mentioned like she's hard to catch up to. Having seen her in the box, now having played defense behind her, just what does kind of that ace bring to this team?
I think she is incredibly fierce. She knows she has our back, and I only hope that we continue to have hers. She's really just an all-around really great person and an amazing player. So yeah.
Big fans of Raylan in this room, and she gave a lot of credit to Taryn Mowat-McKinney as well for the game she called. She said there were times that she had an idea of what pitch she wanted to throw, and she'd look down at the pitch comm, and it was the exact pitch that was getting called. They were very kind of locked in and in the same mindset. Coach T now has already, in a year and a week, had 3 SEC Pitchers of the Week. She's had 4 different National Pitcher of the Week honors when you count Raylan multiple times and things like that. Before she got here, we'd had 3 SEC Pitchers of the Week in the last 8 years. As someone who works very closely with her, who knows a lot of coaches around the country, T-Brat, kind of what has made her unique and successful here? What has she brought that has been able to kind of turn this pitching staff around so quickly?
Yes, she's, you think of Coach T, and I've had the luxury of knowing her for over a decade now. And Coach Ricketts has known her even longer. They played together in the Pro League years ago. Now, I don't want to say when, but years ago, they played with each other in the Pro League. So even dating back to Taryn's Ole Miss days, first couple of years I was in the league, she was at Ole Miss, one of our bitter rivals, of course. But you talk about a competitive nature that she has, and that's one of the things that really stands out to me when I think about Coach T. And we might be on the road recruiting, and we're watching the same games, we're having a casual conversation, and she would come up to you and be like, "I just wanted to beat you," and I'm like, "Oh, well, that's great, I appreciate that." She's like, "No, seriously, I just wanted to beat you," and there was no. It was a level of seriousness that she has, a level of seriousness that she brings when she's competing. She doesn't like to lose, and it doesn't matter if it's a friend of hers on the other side or if it's a bitter rival on the other side. She wants to go into every moment, regardless of what's in the front of your jersey, wants to win that game. And I think that's something that you saw last year in the jump that Aspen Wesley had. Aspen had a tremendous senior year, and it really never reached that threshold until then. And I think that's just where the moxie of Coach T. You can't really put a quantifiable number to that or a quantifiable measure to that, but it's the moxie that she brings to the bullpen. It's the moxie that she brings to the team. She has an ability when she speaks up, everybody listens. She's been through the war. She's been through the trenches before. Obviously a national champion in her own right as a pitcher, been to the World Series multiple times as a pitching coach. probably the only person in our entire athletic department that has not one but 2 ESPY awards. I would have to be fact checked on that, but I
I don't
assume
think
she's
we
the
need to
only
do
one that's
a
got
lot
2.
of fact checking there.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's the only one in the entire athletic department that has 2 ESPY awards. So I just think there's a persona that she brings, an aura, if you will. That seems to be a buzzword a lot of the kids using nowadays. I just think there's something that she brings to the table that you can't really necessarily put a finger on. And when she called pitches, you mentioned that Raylan would have a pitch kind of in mind, and she looks down at the pitch comm, and that's exactly what Taryn has already punched in. I think she does a tremendous job of keeping other teams' hitters off balance. I think she does a tremendous job of going with our players' strengths. I think she does a tremendous job of putting our players in the best chance to succeed. And when you look at a Josie Marin, who started off her career as well 4-0, she had a really great season last year, really good numbers. Her and Aspen had the most innings pitched on the team, so you know what Josie can do. You know the big wins Josie has had for us, and the fact that her and Raylan are both similar in the competitive nature aspect, but different in terms of their stuff. They complement each other really well, and you saw that in the Bethune game. That they're almost polar opposites of what they bring to the table, and because of that, it makes each of them successful. And I think it's one of the big reasons why we're able to keep that to a relatively low-scoring game and really give our offense a chance to come through late, and we did. And it was one of those kind of strange games where I feel like the first 3 innings we had about 9 loud outs. We had a home run rob, we had multiple line drives caught in the gaps by a really talented team on the other side that probably doesn't get enough love that they deserve. They had a really close 1-0 game with Notre Dame in the same tournament, a team that always is a battle-tested schedule. They're always at the Marion Utter Classic. They're always playing quality teams, particularly early on in their season. But I think we did enough to kind of keep them at bay, and that's where Raylan and Josie really kind of, helped each other out in terms of that, and we gave ourselves a chance for sooner or later. As long as you've got outs to play with, you've got a chance. And it's not like football where if you got a 7-point lead and 2 minutes to go, you just kneel it 3 times and the game's over with. You still got to get 21 outs, and that's something that is, as long as you got an out left, you're in the fight. And I thought that's what we saw offensively. We knew if we could just keep priming the pump, that's something we talk about a lot with our team. If we could just keep priming the pump, sooner or later those hits were going to fall, and they did. And Sacco had a huge one for us to tie the game. A.G. Richardson came in, made her collegiate debut. Mississippi State, a junior college kid from Colin Community College here in the state of Mississippi, but she scored the big run to tie the game for us. Sacco with a huge hit up the middle, and that kind of set the table for Key's go-ahead single to the left side. Just the game was saying, hit it on the ground. We talk about being experts at the conditions. This field was playing particularly deep, probably the deepest that any of the fields have played all weekend. The wind's blowing in, balls that were hit hard to the gap. It felt like we were playing in the Grand Canyon. You couldn't get it out of there. And we stung several, and they just weren't going anywhere. It was one of those types of games where to win, you gotta hit it hard and low, and that's kind of what we did there in that last inning. You saw the 3 big hits. Bernardini got the whole thing going in the in the 7th inning, and then you're hitting Sacco's hits back to back were kind of huge to win that game for us.
Yeah, and you talked about just the mentality of doing the little things, staying in it, and not giving up. And I know post-game you talked about just how much that game would mean come April or May,
Yep.
It may not look on paper like the most impressive opponent like the Texas Tech game or the Nebraska game may have, but it was just as important because to have to face a little bit of that adversity and fight through it is going to pay dividends down the road. And again, going back to just doing the little things, come up again, another kind of clutch spot. Sierra had tied the game for you, so it wasn't sort of like a do or die moment, but to step in the box and again, just doing the little things. Kind of what was the approach against Bethune-Cookman for what ended up being your first career walk-off?
For that game, I think just kind of the moment I stepped into the box, I was just kind of like, well, I'm not going to let her beat me. We have a runner on 2. I was like, and then Nadia, congrats to Nadia for moving the runner over to 3rd, which gave me a better shot of like, all I'll have to do is just hit it on the ground, hit it in the gap. I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And when I came through with that, I was super happy, super excited. I was just kind of relieved. I wanted to be able to have my pitchers back. They've been pitching all game. They've been doing an amazing job, and I felt like it was due. So, yeah.
You said you were super excited. There's a great photo of Raylan coming over to give you this big hug. You said you were super excited, but at times it kind of seemed like we had to put the brakes on the celebration a little bit. We had a little technical issue. You want to share what happened in the walk-off huddle?
My hearing aid fell out. Took my helmet off, and then my hearing aid fell out, and I was like, wait, hold on, guys. hearing aid. Gotta go find it.
Yeah, kind of put the brakes on everything. With those things aren't exactly cheap, and very important for you that we find that hearing aid. But we did find it. You did have it for the rest of the series. I know that's something that you've mentioned before. Trying to bring awareness to as well. Just the kind of break the stigma down around hearing aids in sports, and kind of how has that changed the way that you've been able to play by being able to hear and communicate more easily?
That's helped me a lot. I'm able to, well, the first thing is I can hear, so that's a really big thing. I'm able to like understand everything that's going on. I know at times it seems as if like it can be really hard to like be able to know what's going on. So I think whenever I put my hearing aid in, I'm able to hear everything around me. I'm able to hear T-Brat yelling at me from the dugout. I'm able to just, it's really enhanced my gameplay. And I think that's super important, especially playing sports. So, yeah.
When did you kind of notice that the hearing aids maybe were needed as you're yelling from the dugout? What was the flip side of that coin, your experience with
Yeah,
this?
a lot of times you're maybe trying to reposition you in. Hey, this hitter spray charts or everything's in the gap. We got to get you over a little bit. Key, and you're not looking in. So like, Sacco, get her. So trying to go through alternate means of being able to get you in the right position to make a play. So yeah, once you've kind of gotten those, it's really now I can save my voice a little bit. Or whether it be some kind of a relayed message in from a particular pitch that may or may not be coming, being able to kind of use some valuable intel that might give you a competitive advantage in the box, being able to have those opportunities, I think, are key as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned Sacco. I think it's a perfect time to kind of transition to her a little bit. Really was fighting Raylan the entire weekend for the right to be our all-tournament team selection, and we already talked about the weekend Raylan had. She kind of just ended the discussion on Sunday, but leads the team in batting average, leads the team in slugging percentage, leads the team in RBIs and doubles. She's got half of her hits going for extra bases this year. Her double is ranked 5th in the nation. Here's the most impressive note to me. Our team has 15 RBIs. 5 of those have come she's got 7. So she's right around half of our team total of RBIs. Of those 7, 5 have come with 2 outs. So she's got a third of our team total RBIs when she steps in the box with 2 outs. She's 4 for 4 when she has runners in scoring position. We talked about you moving runners over. Her, she's the only one on the team that's got better numbers than you at moving a runner over. She leads with her stats and her results in some ways. But how has she helped you in kind of the offseason and in your first week of real game action where you're out there as a starter? How has she helped you get better?
Her confidence. That she is super competitive, and I feel like she has that drive that we all want. And I think that she just pushes us super hard, and I really I love that. Especially the way she pushes us. It just it makes you want to be better. She's not only trying to just get better for herself, but she wants all of us. She's bringing all of us with her, and I really feed off of that. And that she is literally so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. I look up to her a lot, especially by the way that she plays the game. That girl's a grinder, and I really, really, really like that.
And then we had it on the notes to get to a little bit later, but I think now's a good time. We've mentioned before that this was kind of your first starting opportunity. Same sort of deal for Morgan Bernardini, who also, like you mentioned, had a couple clutch hits, got that rally started against Bethune-Cookman, had a sac fly that brought home the winning run against Texas Tech. On paper, it may look like younger players, younger team, or not having that much experience. How have you been able to translate 2 years worth of practice experience in this time with somebody like a Kiarra into game action where it doesn't seem like you're new to the lineup? It seems just like you're a veteran that's out there just like Kiarra.
For both me and Mo?
Yeah, just how has that practice time really translated onto the field as you kind of waited your turn to get onto the field? Like I said, it doesn't seem like you're a newcomer to the lineup. It seems like you've been there for a while.
I think the patience that me and Mo had, the patience, the work, we're always trying to learn from others, especially Kiarra as one of the really good outfielders. I think us just kind of sitting back trying to soak up all the information, soak up everything that we can learn so that we can be better players. And I think that like really helped us out a lot to, I guess, mature in ways, especially like as a junior. Yeah, I think just learning from everyone else, it's really helped us out a lot. And honestly, I never would have knew that I looked like a veteran out there. But it's super exciting. I'm super excited for Mo, and just to be out there with her is like absolutely amazing.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier the ranked wins. The win over Nebraska on Sunday moved Coach Ricketts into second place all time with 36 ranked wins here at Mississippi State. And just for historical purposes, we use one poll the whole way through. So you mentioned a couple of those others are probably ranked wins in some polls, but we only count that Duke and Nebraska for this. But 36 ranked wins, second all time. Riley Hull has a line in relation to kind of all the upset graphics that have been going out lately of who's upset, not me. Like this, the mentality that I'm not upset if we upset you, like, and we don't necessarily consider it to be an upset because we expected to be in those games as well. Does that surprise you at all when you hear the players talking like that, or what is it that Coach Ricketts has brought to the table that's maybe changed that mindset where there is that expectation to be in every one of those games, regardless of how high or low the team is ranked?
Yeah, I think you can really kind of use the same illustration about Coach T as well. Coach Ricketts is competitive and fiery as they come to. Another, my goodness, multiple-time All-American in her playing days too. I was a finalist for National Player of the Year as well. And you don't get that way unless you have a competitive nature about you where you want to win at all costs. And, there's a saying, some of the little competitions we'll do in the cages or on the field, it'll be, hey, my game, my rules, right? Because she's going to do whatever she can to stack the deck to help her win. And it doesn't matter if it's, fungo golf or anything else or team trivia. She wants to win at any facet, wants to be on the best team. And I think you see that kind of moxie that she carries with that too, kind of trickle on down to the players. And to your point, yeah, there was a whole lot of upset graphics this weekend. And I don't really understand, where all this comes from unless they're trying to just get engagement here from the fans here. But I'm sorry, if the number 16 beats the number 14, that's not an upset. If the number 19 beats the number 13, that's not an upset. And I think we're just kind of getting a little carried away. And I won't call out which person's doing this or which social media intern for this organization's doing this. I'll keep that part at bay. But who's upset? Not us. Yeah, we're definitely not upset about that. Well, this is the Rounding Third podcast, and when you're rounding third, you're headed home. So coming off of a really solid opening weekend by a lot of accounts, getting some action by some players that haven't had a whole lot of action before, and I think that's a tribute in the current age of a what have you done for me lately kind of era we live in with the transfer portal and all that kind of fun stuff. And I won't go too deep down that road. Historically, we haven't been a team that has taken a ton of players out of the transfer portal. Some teams have, and that's fine. We've had 5 and 3 years since the transfer portal has kind of become a thing. So we've really prided ourselves in the development of the talent that we brought in from the high school ranks. You see that again on this year's current team. There's 10 newcomers. One is a 4-year transfer, Raylan Chafee. We talked about her. And the other we mentioned briefly, Abby Grace Richardson from Colin, a junior college transfer. But the rest is really freshmen that we've evaluated and identified through the recruiting process and brought along. And you're seeing some immediate dividends paying off with some of those that came in. Sarah Phillips got her first inning of action in Penn State, came in through a solid inning of relief. Greta Grassel scored some runs for us coming off the bench. She's going to be able to be a factor in the outfield before it's all said and done. Morgan Stiles, several starts on the infield, had some clutch quality at-bats for us this weekend. Zion Romero had a massive quality at-bat in the Bethune win at the bottom of the 7th inning, and she locked down second base as well. So you're starting to see a lot of newcomers kind of coming into the fold and really making their presence felt right away, and that's something that we pride the development. We talked about the competitive nature that Coach Ricketts instills, and that kind of reels into all these ranked wins. I think last year, I don't have the notes specifically in front of me, and Brian always gives me a hard time for maybe inflating the truth to a degree, but I think we had 14 ranked wins a year ago.
You got that one right.
Which was 4th or 5th most in the country, at least going into postseason. Yeah, it's most in school history, 4th or 5th in the country going into postseason. And I think that's a tribute to the way that we go about our business. In terms of practice, we go hard in practice. We're not a team that's going to be out there in shorts very often. If you come and watch us practice, and all of our practices are open to the public, but you're going to see us, we're going to be geared up. We're going to be going hard. We're going to be sliding. We expect people to slide. And it's good when you see like a Kiarra Sells going all out in practice, because that trickles down into Zion Romero going all out in practice, and Abigail Vector Stevens going all out in practice. And you're looking at the depth that we have, people that can come off the bench and do different things for us. I think that's where you see a lot of that talent really kind of starting to show with, hey, this kid may be a catcher, but she's also a super fast runner, and that's where A.J. Richardson comes in. And you know what? She's probably going to be in left field had the game gone into extra innings again. So the ability to kind of have athletes on our bench that can be plug and play just about anywhere on the field, I think certainly a strength that we have of ours, and I think we saw that this past weekend.
And as we kind of turn the corner, focusing in on the week ahead, home opener, we mentioned a school record there. Last year, first year with tickets, still set a school record for attendance. You just continue to see softball grow here in Starkville. 3 top 15 crowds last year, highest attended 3-day series in school history last year. Always good to get back in front of the home fans. And this weekend, always every year, means a little bit more when we have the snowman. So.
Indeed. Yeah, and Alex is such a special young lady. She's somebody that still lives in our hearts, lives in our memories. Her dad texts us, Coach Ricketts and I, quite often, Sean. I believe Sean and Leanne are both going to be here at some point this weekend. They usually try to come back for this weekend. Their other daughter got married recently, and she works at the University of South Alabama. I think she's in their compliance department there. So Sean's just a good dude. You see him active on Twitter. Every time we hit a home run, he's always like sending one of us the telescope emoji, or he'll bring that out. And that goes back to the Kat Moore days. Mia and Fa got a lot of pub as thunder and lightning, but Kat with her little sprinkle of 13 home runs too. When she hit a home run, Sean would always pop in the old satellite emoji or the telescope emoji, excuse me, to kind of notify of Kat Moore's home runs too. But yeah, such great. Great to always see them, and it's good to honor Alex. The SEC go until we do that on a Saturday during the season, where all SEC teams will, in some form or fashion, don a teal uniform or teal accessories to their uniform, and I think it's just a show of unity. That we're all in this together. No one fights alone. That's a mantra we talk about quite often. And Alex, just a young lady that can light up a room, and you talk about her and you talk about the impact she had on this program. I think we smile with pride when we think about how solid of a young lady she is. And, mom and dad, outstanding people. And they did a great job raising her. And when she was coming in as one of the top 5 recruits in the country, I don't think anybody realized that her legacy might be something that wasn't softball related, but maybe it's to help spread awareness, to help maybe save another young lady's life. And I think that's something that Sean, her dad, is kind of an advocate for, and has talked about quite at length about, trying to spread awareness. And I think that's something that hopefully the Teal Foundation and Go and Teal and those types of things will kind of help do, and to help some spread awareness for ovarian cancer. And we're certainly excited to honor Alex. We call it the Snowman because that was the nickname her dad gave her. She's been number 8 for as long as we can remember. And the 8, I know all too well in the golf world, if I put an 8 on my scorecard, that's usually not a good thing. We call it a snowman, but it kind of resembles a snowman with the number 8. So that's kind of where the nickname came from. And we look forward to honoring her this weekend.
Yes, we do. And we will have 4 teams here in town: Southern Illinois, Bradley, North Texas, Georgia Tech. A couple fun facts for you on those. So Georgia Tech and Southern Illinois are no strangers to this tournament. They'll actually tie UAB for the most games played against us in the Snowman this year when we play them. And then North Texas, it's been a little while.
Yep. The Mean Green.
So the last time we played North Texas, I think Mr. Coach T-Brat was just about toddling around. 1986. How old were you?
I was 3.
There you go.
I was 3 back then.
Mr. Coach T-Brat was 3. Key, you probably weren't even a thought yet.
No.
And that's the 11th longest gap in a series for us with any team that still has a D1 team. And it will also be only one other series this year will end that's been longer than that. Texas A&M and Idaho State last played in 1982. So kind of a rare meeting getting to have North Texas here. A team that has won some conference titles recently has brought some competitive at-bats to the plate. And so what are you looking forward to the most with this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's a very strong tournament. Georgia Tech coming off a regional appearance 2 years ago. North Texas has been in the mix. From an RPI standpoint, they've been a very strong team the last several years. Rodney DeLong has done a tremendous job there at North Texas. We'll see those guys quite a bit recruiting, evaluating similar players and that sort of thing. So, they'll bring a very loaded team in. We're excited about welcoming them to News Park. And Bradley had a big weekend as well this past weekend down at Texas State. So Southern Illinois, a solid team too, a postseason team. A year ago, they were in regionals. They've been really strong for a long time. The Salukis, Morgan Bernardini's from right down the road from them in Elkville, Illinois. That's right close to Carbondale. So we'll be excited to welcome these 4 teams in. A very strong tournament. Good to be back at the friendly confines of News Park. Getting back to a field that's maybe carries a little bit better, the dirt that maybe plays a little bit better. You never know what you're going to get when you go into a city park, and I think we kind of had some of that on display, particularly in the Bethune game more so than the other games. But certainly excited to get back to the friendly confines of News Park. We love playing in front of our fans. You mentioned the season tickets a year ago, just shy of 25,000 fans came through last year, so a school record, and certainly pumped for the opportunity to show off this weekend. Rose in all the polls when they came out the last couple of days. So fans, I know you're hungry to get back and seeing us in action at News Park. Look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday night.
And if you need any more reason than all the ones that Mr. Coach Chebrat just gave you, like you said, competitive opponents rising in the polls. We'll also have a teal rally towel giveaway to honor Alex this weekend as well. So Bulldogs at the Snowman this weekend. Action starts on Thursday night and then carries through the next 3 days all the way to Sunday.
Yep.
Again, we'll be wearing teal at some point throughout the weekend, have the teal rally towels lined up, and so really looking forward to another good weekend.
Absolutely. Got the tarp on the field. Got a little bit of rain in the forecast on Saturday, but the rest of the weekend's looking pretty good. So we'll keep you guys posted with all that going on. But until that point, for Brian Ogden and our guest, Kiarra Sells, I'm Tyler Bratton, Hail State.
Hail State.